We're going to hear from Rachel Ashton, who some of you will know, but some of you will not know. So I'm going to be asking her a few questions about Theatre Factory, which has been going for some time in Barrow, really successful Cumbrian arts institution. So we'll find out a bit more about that from Rachel. Jilly is going to show us all and tell us all about what's going on at BlueJam at the moment. And I think we're going to get a little tour of or at least move in the room to see what else is in the room, what instruments are in the room as well. So really looking forward to that. And then Janet and Jay from Helping Hands, which we've bumped into from time to time over the last 18 months. There's been some real successes with the volunteering project, Helping Hands across Cumbria. So a bit of an update on that, and also I think a chance to hear about some case studies that have really proved the success of the project as well. So that is the plan for this morning. We've got about 55 minutes together. So let's get started. Feel free to use chat as and when you want to, pop stuff into there. Rachel, it's very nice. I've not actually met you, I don't think, face to face, but I know of you, and I think I've seen you on a screen a couple of times. So it's really nice to say hello to you this morning. Where are you this morning?
Well, this morning I'm in my kitchen, as you can see. You can see all my pots and pans behind me.
And that is where?
I live just outside Barrow in a place called Swarthmore.
Okay.
It's a nondescript place.
Okay, and Theatre Factory is your baby, isn't it? It's your thing that you've been doing for some time now, and I think you set it up. Is that right? Yeah.
So I'm founder artist, but in fact, I can just say it used to be called. Some of you may know the company from its previous name, which was the Ashton Group, which is my name, Rachel Ashton. And a few years ago now, we changed the name, and we changed the name because one, no one could remember it. People used to call me the Ashton Theatre Group or Ashton Theatre or Ashton Drama. Actually, the name was the Ashton Group Theatre. Nobody could remember that. But also, I thought, well, you know, if I go under a bus tomorrow, it needs to have a more public name. So we changed our name to Theatre Factory, which says what it does on the tin, really. Yeah.
So what it says? You say it says what it says on the tin. Does what it says on the tin. Tell me about that tin. What is it?
Okay. Basically, we're a socially embedded theatre company. We're a professional theatre company, but we don't always make theatre because we work with people, many of whom are socially excluded. Some aren't, but many of them are. And making theatre isn't the first place they go creatively. They might just want to talk. They might want to write. They might want to improvise. They might want to draw or make animation. So primarily what we do is we work with people's experience verbatim, and we create narrative with that in whatever way they see fit. So although we're a theatre company, it often isn't that. Yeah. So we about 15 years ago, when our programme was expanding, it was all sort of going round and round in my head, and I thought, oh, I've got to sort this somehow. What is it we do? So I thought, if I can draw it, then I might be able to explain more clearly to people what it is. And I ended up drawing a diagram. Our programme wasn't planned around this diagram. The diagram evolved out of actually what we were doing, and it's a triangle. So I'd like to talk to you about my triangle. I should have put it on a slide, but you know what? I didn't. So our triangle, the base of our triangle is wide, and that band at the bottom is our working community. So, you know, when you work in community, I'm sure many people in this room will have the same experience. You might work with 200 people in a workshop for about 5 minutes each. It's a light touch, but it's maybe their first experience of you. It's the first time they meet you. So the broad base of our triangle involves a lot of people for a short amount of time. And all that work is done in partnership. We're a partnership organisation, which for those of you who know, the Arts Council's current business plan is right up their street. But the likes of us lot, we've been doing it forever, haven't we? So our partners, you know, we've got many, many partners, but all partners are created equal, but some are more equal than others. So our young people's partnerships are the most important. So for example, like Drop Zone, which is our youth charity in Barrow, and the Women's Centre, and Furness Young Carers and the Multicultural Forum. So these are key partners for us. And we start with no idea. We just go in and say, what are you doing? What would you like? How can we add value to what you do? How can we support you? So as artists, we drop all our shtick. We don't come up with, I've got a great idea. We listen. We also work in their venues. We make no assumption that anyone would ever want to come into our theatre space, which is in the Cooks Arts and Media Centre in Barrow. So that's our community programme. We work a lot outside, increasingly post-COVID. Then the next band in our triangle is what we do in our own studio, and it's our youth theatres. We run 2 youth theatres. From age 7 to, well, we never actually took anyone out, to be honest. We've got people who are 27, 28 in our youth theatre. Just depends, you know. They don't want to go, we don't want them to go. 50% of our youth theatre is neurodivergent, neurodiverse, neuroatypical, you could say. And so, because Barrow is very rich in Amdram, we don't do any of that. We don't do musical theatre, because there is already very good provision in the amateur sector. So we work with young people who are, how can I put this? They don't always fit in to the Amdram scene or any scene, in fact.
So what makes them come to you? What makes them sort of trust you in your processes?
I don't know.
Is it reputation? Is it word of mouth?
Yeah, I think often it's word of mouth. I mean, we've never ever had to advertise our youth theatre. It's been running for 25 years. People just come and then they bring their mates, and then parents find out, and parents who are struggling to place their children in other facilities often come to us. It's child-centred. We never present any young person with a script. What we do is we work through improvise. We're essentially improvisers. So, I mean, my background is in physical theatre and improvisation theatre. So we work from people's ideas and we script from that. Sometimes we bring writers in, sometimes we don't. Sometimes the young people write, sometimes we write. We do 2 shows a year with those young people. Bob's your uncle, and they come to us. And sometimes it's people that we've met in community and they think, oh, I could do a bit more. So it's like a progression up through the triangle. Yeah. And at the top, at the pointy end of the triangle, it's narrow, not many people in that bit. This is our young professional artists. And there's 3 activities broadly that we do there. Our apprentices, our influencers, and our Gen Z artists. So the apprentices are young people who might be thinking about a career in the arts. And we work in partnership with Kendal College, with the wonderful Kendal College and their performing arts diploma. And we take 5 young people a year for 5 weeks, and we pay them not very much because they're not trained. And we take them out on tour, and it's designed to on an industry standard model of rehearsal, audition, rehearsal, touring. It's the only thing you have to audition for in our company, because we wanted to give people a kind of sheltered experience of what our beastly theatre industry is like. And then the influencers are young people who don't want to go into the arts, but what they want to do is work in more depth in their own community outside of youth theatre. So typically, I mean, we have big street puppets that get taken out here, there and everywhere to festivals. And those young people crew that activity for us. And they do a lot of public facing work. So they might be meeting and greeting the audiences, or handing out leaflets, or loading vans, whatever. It's kind of production skills. Yeah. And lastly, the Gen Z artists, we used to call them associates, but often those apprentices do go to university or wherever.
Yeah, we've got a slide. We've got a slide.
Oh, yes. Oh, thank you. I wondered what was happening then. Sort of an earthquake. Often they do go off and train, and after they've got their degrees, or they've been to conservatoire, and they're trained actors or dancers or directors or writers, They end up back in Barrow sometimes for all the economic reasons we know. And they sometimes knock on my door and go, what can I do? So we give them work, and we give them work at a professional rate.
Okay, and this is the current piece, is that right?
Yeah, so this here, Voices of Generation Z, is The Apprentices. This is what we're taking out on tour. You can see it on the 17th of July at the Box in Kendal. It's also going to public hall in Gosforth, I think on the 24th, I think. No, 21st.
Send us the dates, Rachel.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Don't worry. So this is 12 little plays, micro plays, you call them.
Yeah. These were written by Kevin Dyer. So what we did with this, right? Do you remember COVID? Yeah, I know you do. Well, obviously during COVID, nobody knew whether theatres would ever open again, and we commission every year for this company, for The Apprentices. And I was talking to Kevin about writing, and I said, do you know what? I don't want a full-length play. We might not be able to produce one. Give me some bits that I can film outside, that I can perform outside in the fresh air, and I can use them as and when. So he wrote me 12. And do you know what? People loved it.
So how long is each one, sort of roughly?
Well, 5-10 minutes.
Right.
You know, they vary. Because it was like a box of chocolates. Because if you didn't like one, it would be over soon and there'd be another one along shortly. Yeah. So it worked really well as a format. So we did film some of them. We took it out on tour last year and it went down so well. I said, Kevin, can you just write me a few more? So he wrote me another 12.
So this is brand new original theatre.
Yeah, we've always been a new writing company.
Yeah. Rachel, can I ask you, the dirty question about funding? I know you've had a lot of Arts Council support. It's been an NPO since NPOs were started. So that's kind of back, 20 years or so. Is that right? What's the sort of, what's the secret to your success about funding? How do you make that happen?
Right, okay. It's partly to do with where we are and the original offer. So at that time, I set up in the early 90s. There was only one other new writing company in the county, and that was Quondam. And Barrow was a cold spot. It's also to do with the backing of Barrow Borough Council. Barrow is extraordinary because Barrow has 4 MPOs. I see Andrew Deacon from Full of Noises here is one of our MPOs. 4 MPOs plus Creative People and Places. There you've got Daniel Tyler Mackay from Barrowful. This is not, it didn't happen like because we're miracle workers. It happened because of a really prolonged, arduous, long, shared, joined up effort, headed originally by Barrow Borough Council, who decided, you know what? It's pointless helicoptering in companies who'll do a show and do a bit of summer in the community and then they'll go. What we need here is sustained growth on the ground. And so what they did was they funded, Barrow Borough funded local artists, and they also supported artists who were coming in who were prepared to stay. And initially that was myself, Maddie Nicholson and Stuart Bastick from Art Gene. And once that local authority support was in place, the Arts Council followed. The Arts Council had known me for years. And I went to them and said, look, I'm going to set this company up. There's nothing here. Will you support me? And they did. And we just, we are the sort of company who work in partnership. We work in close partnership with whoever's around us, other arts organisations, local government, funders, and third sector organisations. We wouldn't exist in isolation. So it's partly that.
Yeah.
Not going to lie, Barrow is a red wall town. We all know that levelling up and priority place is a political issue. There are places around this country that should have been made priority places and they haven't. So we're under no kind of illusion as to why it is. I've always known how to play that funding game. Another key to our success is that we we put sustainability right at the top of our agenda. We're a very working class company, so money is important. It's important that people are paid right, they're paid on time, and that we support our community. So my core staff are local, and then I work with incoming artists as well. I work with artists from all over the country, but the core of it is about Barrow and about Barrow people, and making something which will last and not keel over at the first breath of wind. So we work closely with the other Barrow MPOs and with the CPP. The Barrow MPOs and the Women's Centre were instrumental in bringing creative people and places to Barrow because we needed a capacity build. Barrow is a place, nobody comes. So unless you build it on the ground and make sure that it's secure on the ground, you've got nothing going. Yeah, it's to do with our isolation. And I'm sure colleagues on the West Coast in this room will agree with me and know that you've got to make some kind of creative use of that isolation and not see it.
And also, I think you've got to be able to tell that story in a coherent, understandable way to funders, to whoever, to politicians. Rachel, what's the bit of your job that you enjoy the most?
Directing.
So the doing, the getting your hands dirty.
Yeah, and obviously talking to you guys as well. It's lovely to meet you. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm not a great administrator. I'm not a great. I like the strategy, the putting together, dreaming of what we're going to do, and talking to people and pulling it all together. But directing is what I do, really.
Okay, all right. If anyone's got any questions or observations, by the way, do feel free to put them into chat. I just see Amy has put there, I wish Carlisle had as many creative organisations as Barrow. Most of the creative workshops and art stuff I've done has had a connection to Barrow. Interesting. And Derek's saying the need to establish a strong community base first is fundamental to then being able to tell a story and hopefully pull in some money from outside sources. Yeah. And obviously you're a woman, Rachel, of dynamism and energy and all that stuff that you need to be a great leader of an arts organisation. How do you kind of keep going? It must be hard work.
I'm on steroids. No, I actually am on steroids. So I apologise to anybody who thinks I'm gabbling, because apparently they make you a bit manic. No, it's because I've got the right staff, and I would be lost without my key staff, Karen Evans and Phil Gregg, who I've known since they were 12 and 14 respectively. They were in my first youth theatre. They went away to university. They came back. They're 20 years younger than me. I'm in my 60s, they're in their 40s. We've known each other forever. And the reason I'd be lost without them, apart from the fact that they're great creative artists, is that they know everybody. They know everybody. They were born and bred in Barrow. And we have to work. I'm very keen with my artists that we don't become parochial, that we constantly work with new people coming in. So, for example, the show that I showed you, Voices of Generation Z, is going into Daniel Tyler McTighe's fantastic Four with By Festival in July, which is an international festival of youth theatre, which is coming to Barrow. And we've worked closely in partnership with Barrow Full on that. I don't know how we keep going, actually. Might keel over at any minute.
Well, thank you for sharing, a little bit of an insight into Theatre Factory. Fliss says, really impressive. No wonder you get the support that you do. I am a great networker. I believe in networks and talking to people and finding out about stuff. So it's great that you've joined this call, Rachel. And obviously people like Daniel and Andrew and other Barrovians will know much more about Theatre Factory than I do, but it's very much on my radar now, and I think we could all learn from you probably in lots of different ways. The way that you're obviously got a clear strategy, a clear market, a clear audience that you're playing to as well, and also you've got real credibility and reputation and success, in getting the resources in to make it all happen as well. So that's a lot of people will find that very difficult, I think.
It's not me though. It's the teams. It's the team that I've put around me, and it's the team that we have in Barrow. Yeah. We're good at working together. Yeah. I think sometimes we come across as a bit of a mafia. I apologise for that. but it's been out of necessity, and it's been hard won, you know. So I must apologise. I'm going to have to go because I've got to
you
go
go
to
and get your train or
Bolton
car,
today.
whatever it is. Nice to see you, Rachel.
Oh, it's been a delight to see you all. Thank you so much for listening to me rattle on.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Lovely to hear about that, and we'll stay in touch. And by the way, hello to Nick and Lavinia and Emma, who have joined, and Sue, who've just joined, and Irene joined the call recently. Good stuff from Theatre Factory. Right, let's zoom up the 590 M6 to junction 30, junction 42. Is that the Penrith turnoff? Can't remember. Anyway, 40 something, the junction at Penrith, and we're going to go to BlueJam now, where Jilly Jarman has been in charge for some time and has made BlueJam into the thing that it is now. So Jilly, we're going to share some slides that Amy is going to share for you, and tell us the story about where BlueJam is at now and what's been going on in recent times. Over to you.
Hello, everybody. Yes, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, so that was so inspiring, and also actually all the things that she flagged up. So you don't need to screen share yet. Can you just go back to me for a bit? Thanks. So basically, all the things that Rachel flagged up as being positives and folky for her is exactly the same for BlueJam. You know, especially about young people taking part in every aspect of production, about young people going away and coming back, being part of the organisation. That is so much part of BlueJam's story, and also her getting strength from those original participants coming back now running the company with her. And it's exactly the same for BlueJam. So many of our team are actually people who started, I knew them from when they were sort of 11, 12. And they've all developed different skills, and they're all really committed to bringing that back to the area. And you just cannot buy that. That is just a gift. And as long as it keeps on giving, I'll be there accepting it. So what I want to do is just zip through a little overview of BlueJam, because a lot of people on here will know all about us, but some people won't know anything about us. We're based in Penrith. This is actually our 21st anniversary. So we started in 2002. And what was really interesting was that Rachel actually mentioned Quandam. And we were originally in their space, the PlayStation in Penrith. So that's how we started. But I haven't heard that name for so long. Anyway, so if you'd like to go to the first slide, thank you. One of our most outward facing groups is our Samba group. And that's right. And this is a Samba group in UCC. Oops, we've lost some of them. That's it.
Jilly, carry on. When you're sharing, you've got to get rid of grey boxes. Amy's doing a brilliant job.
Fantastic.
Carry on.
Wonderful. Okay, so so this is the BJamba, the main Samba group that started in about 2004 and is now massive. And as you can see, they've all got new trousers, so they're looking very very with it. And they're so big that we've got a waiting list. And if you go to the next slide. So this is Street Beats. And so this is made out of the waiting list for BJamba plus a lot of horns. We now have got about 8 horns playing with us. So we're sort of developing into a new entity, and that's actually really exciting. The other thing that we're doing regularly is in the next slide, we're doing a jazz jam every month. Unfortunately, we lost the funding for our jazz program, for our youth jazz program, and we're sort of trying to find that again. So in the meantime, we're starting a jazz jam every Sunday, every month, last Sunday of the month, and it's really good fun. As you can see, everyone's smiling, and not because I made them. And then after that, we go to another regular thing that we have, and we call this a children's orchestra. But in fact, it's a music group, and it's intergenerational, co-generational. So adults learn alongside young people with them. So in fact, at one point we had a cello section that was all mums, and that was really exciting. So as you can see, everybody's not been forced to smile in that picture either. They don't normally all play drums. They were just having a specific samba go. You can see that this is a room that looks very full and messy. At the moment, it's pristine clean because we're developing it as our theatre space or small performance space. And where I'm standing taking the photo is actually the stage. We've got a lighting rig, we've got a PA. And if you go to the next one, you'll see our folk group, which is actually facing the other way. So that's actually in the performance space. That's a little concert that they were doing last year. The folk group is self-run, doesn't have a leader. It's very democratic. And that's been going for years and years and years. They do a lot of local events. It's free. And it was set up originally for people who didn't feel confident enough to go to a session in a pub or wherever. So, and it's just developed into this group that just keeps meeting and meeting, and they're accepting new people all the time. And the next one is something that we were starting to do just coming out of lockdown. So during lockdown, if you just go to the next one, we put on performances as live stream performances. So this is actually in the room where I'm sitting at the moment, the gallery. And we did fortnightly live streams, and that was a really good way of keeping all the people involved in BlueJam sort of still involved. And we also got to work with our team across the country. So people who used to work with us but then lived a long way away, instead of us having to try and get them here physically, we could actually do a lot of networking. So that is Asha. She's the one standing up, and she's part of a new member of our team, delivers work for us, brilliant singer. And then if you go on to the next one, you will see this has actually got noises attached to it. So I don't know if you can play all right, so that's just a short clip. So this is our latest gig, which was with Eternal Triangle. So I was really interested to hear what Rachel was saying about the triangle, because that's exactly what this band was using. It was like the strength of each side supports the other. Sort of inspired by that, our team of jazz musicians, we played the support. And so we had a sort of linking hands circle as the same idea. So we sort of moved from one musical idea to another, sort of passing on ideas, but linked. And it was very joyful. It was really good evening. I will just move on from that because I'll come back to it. So if you could go to the next one, this is actually three of the people from our support act. You can see our brand new PA, Bosie PA there. And you can see the lighting is quite nice, quite cool. So this is our small front room performance space that we're trying to really develop into a space that is, I'm going to talk about this later. I'm just going to go through everything first. I'll focus on that later. Okay, so if you could go to the next one. Yes, up in the gallery, which is where I'm sitting now, we have painting for wellbeing sessions every week. And we're also working with PERN, which is the Penrith and Eden Refugee Network. And we've been working with a lot of Ukrainian artists who've done a lot of the artwork around the room, which is really nice. Don't know if you can see that. And they've been putting on exhibitions. And we've just got funding from no longer Eden District Council, but it was at that point, to do a project to carry on that. We'll be working with Alex Jacob Whitworth on that, which is really exciting. And we've also booked out the Evan 4A gallery for October for workshops and an exhibition. So really excited about that. There's another one here. If you go to the next slide. So this is actually yesterday. Everyone was drawing me, which is quite nice to sit there. And I'm smiling. I don't know why I started smiling. I had to smile for 10 minutes. But it's a really lovely, relaxed group, and a lot of talking about lots of issues, not just painting. If you go to the next one. This is basically me, as you can see, with a hat on, and somebody who I'm working with, who looks so excited about scratching a djembe drum. And these are sessions we've started doing a lot of work with Stomping Ground, which is a fantastic outdoor play day youth activity group that works across Cumbria. We did a lot of work with them in Felfoot, and we're just adding a music element to a lot of the craft stuff that they're doing. And this was one that was done in a new field in Penrith, which the town council are opening up for public use. So all those things are really exciting. We'll be carrying on doing work with them on different estates in Penrith throughout the summer. If you go to the next one. So every group has real problems, don't they, in sort of telling everybody what they're doing, getting the word out. We have a great administrator, Jess, who every week puts out a weekly what's on, and then we also have a monthly what's on, which gives the general idea. And as they go out on social media, those seem to get the most views and the most likes as well. And we've had quite a few people come to us through having seen this. So it gives a little bit of an overview of what happens every week or every month, and both in our space and elsewhere. So there's not everything on there. There's quite a few things that we're not doing, that we do that's not on there. But just as a sort of marketing tool, it's worked on really well for us. Very, very low cost, very effective. I'm sure everybody's found all this, it's getting harder and harder to get presence on social media. And how else do you get the word out? It's really tricky. So what I'd like to do now is I'm going to walk you through to another room.
Just to tell everyone, if you pin Jilly's image, so the three little dots top right hand corner, if you pin it, you'll get her bigger. So I think you're about to show something, Jilly, so I just thought I'd say that. Carry on. Okay, I'm pinned, hopefully. Tethered to reality. So I want to talk about two projects that we're going to be pushing, trying to get money for. So you should be able to see, if I turn it round, I can't go in the room any further because I'll lose internet. So this is our gamelan. We share this with More Music in Morecambe and Heathlands in Carlisle. The other half of it is at the Sage Gateshead. We have the Slendro half. It's a beautiful bronze gamelan that was made specifically by Pentram in Java, and one of the master makers. So I'm just going to give you a gong sound. Hopefully you can hear it. Here it's coming now. And then this is the middle one. And then this is the smaller one. And for people who don't really know about gamelan, this is a little bit of the sound of, yeah. So I don't know if you could hear that. Could you hear that? Can you put thumbs up? Yeah, we heard that. We heard that.
Fantastic. So this is our gamelan room. So we're trying to get a Heritage Lottery bid together to pay for this room, which we took on specifically to house the gamelan. We want to try and get the other half as well, and really develop this as a centre of excellence for gamelan, and also to use it as a way to look at basically decolonisation, diversity in music, what is heritage, you know, all these questions that a lot of people are thinking about at the moment. And we have this absolute gift of a beautiful sound world, and we should use it as well as we can and as fully as we can. At the moment, we do weekly gamelan for wellbeing sessions. We have 3 gamelan experts, plus myself who knows a bit. We have Stephen, who studied in London the gamelan. He's a fantastic classical percussionist anyway, We have Sarah Kikas, who actually went to Java, saw the gamelan being built. And we have Lawrence Leith, who lives in Carlisle and is an original BlueJammer who I used to teach piano to when he was little. And he's one of the people who stayed with us. And he, as you can see, I've got something in front of me here. He's actually a maker. He went to Dartington and makes lots of amazing instruments. He sort of makes what he feels like. So you get one, you'll never get another one. These are based more on Balinese. These are gangster instruments, but they're small. I can lift it. I can take it into schools. So the project would try to actually support him to make more and develop his ideas. So I'll just play a bit. It's beautiful, isn't it? Absolutely beautiful sound. He's a very, very talented young man. He's also made glass xylophones, which is why I was really interested in the Florence Mine exhibition, because they had a soundtrack made of glass instruments. So that's one of our big foci, as not in folky, but focusy. And then the other one is to develop our space downstairs as a performance space. So it's not big enough to be commercially viable, i.e. for us to be able to pay people. You're not going to get enough people in there. What we can do, though, is we can develop it as a supportive space where we can expose young people locally to groups from outside who will come in, and also they can develop their own music. They can do all the production, the engineering, they can do the lighting, marketing. And so we're going to be looking for money from youth music for that. We're also really interested in the idea of relaxed performances and making performances accessible to either people who don't want to be in a small space because of social distancing, or people who are neuroatypical don't want to be in a loud space. We can pipe the music up here. We did it for the last gig, and people can paint up in the gallery while listening to the music. I do this all the time, and it's absolutely fantastic. And that means also that we can double our space in terms of audience. So I think probably I've talked enough.
You've done brilliantly, Jilly. I think Emma speaks for all of us. Absolutely love this. How fantastic to be taken on a little tour and to hear some gamelan being played as well. As Phil says, BlueJam makes magic happen, and Janet just picking up, like, gamelan's a great instrument for bringing people together. She used to look after one in Northumberland.
Ah, right, okay.
And Derek also saying that these two presentations, yours and Rachel, literally and metaphorically music to his ears, based on organic growth of the community. Again, we probably haven't got time to go into what makes Jilly Jarman tick and where do you get your energy from and how do you keep going. Maybe that's for another day. But I think BlueJam.
I might try steroids. They seem to work, don't they?
Yeah, steroids is obviously the answer. But I think what you achieve, Jilly, is you encompass, you think of your audience and you think of your community first and foremost, placement at the heart of probably everything that you do. But the range of stuff that BlueJam achieves, that little timetable across the week, was really representative of all the stuff that you're doing. And again, you obviously are good at getting funding to help support this as well, and you're able to find the pillars of support that you need to keep this going. And it sounds like you've got a great team around you too.
Yeah, we've been doing loads of improvising in the landscape. I missed all that out, but I won't go on that. And that's been really exciting, personally for me too. Mixing, improvising. You say what makes me tick? Improvisation. And improvisation as a way for getting people to talk to each other in a new way without bringing all their baggage in a way. Do you know what I mean? It's a fresh listening in the moment thing to do. And also to do it in the landscape as well is even more exciting.
Yeah, smashing. Jilly, thank you very much for putting all that together this morning, and for playing beautifully, if I may say so as well. Lovely, lovely sounds for a Friday morning. Smashing. Right, well, let's move on to another great project going on across Cumbria, which is the Helping Hands project, which Janet is the project manager for, and is going to start with Jay to talk to us about where they've got to, and perhaps touch on one or two case studies of success stories as well. So, Janet, I'm just trying to find you on there you are. Over to you, and Amy will share some slides for you.
Great, thanks, Tom. Yes, a lot of you will know Helping Hands is an ambitious multi-partner project that's running across Cumbria to help support people to volunteer in the arts, heritage and culture sector. So our presentation is just a little bit of an update of where we are. I'm fortunate to be the manager of this project, and I think there's a theme for this morning is around partnership. We've got well over 40 partners across Cumbria involved in our project, and it just wouldn't work without them. It really wouldn't. And that ranges from some of the more usual organisations, the museums, theatres and galleries, all the way through to our community partners as well, people like Anti-Racist Cumbria, Cumbria Deaf Association and various other groups and organisations working there on the ground with our communities. We've jumped to a slide. Prior to this, there should be a little short video which will just take you through what we've been doing. This was shot in Carlisle.
I chose to volunteer because when I was trying to apply for the jobs that I really wanted, I was regularly told that they chose a candidate who just had more experience. Throughout my education, I wasn't able to get a lot of that hands-on work experience to get into the art jobs that I'm interested in, and volunteering is the best way of doing that. Helping Hands has helped guide me. It's helped me think about my future, the roles that I want to work in, and the volunteering opportunities that I would need to help me get into those positions.
What's different about the Helping Hands project? It aims to diversify our volunteer base, really attract different people who might not have thought of volunteering and make them aware of all the benefits that volunteering can bring.
Welcome to Carlisle Castle. We're right here on the bridge across the Half Moon Battery. Let's go through that gatehouse there and see what we can find.
It has been deeply empowering. Essentially, when I first started volunteering, I was very down in the heels. What volunteering has done, let me stretch my legs a little bit. I can get a little bit theatrical about my work, which is something I never would have done before. To get out and have that constant contact with wonderful places like this. You also gain job experience. So working at a site like this, and this is something that employers definitely look for. It's that thing that stands out in your application form, your CV. On top of that, you get a community of people around you.
Helping Hands has been really supportive for us here at Tully. There are so many benefits for volunteers, whether it be making friends, learning new skills, stepping outside their comfort zone, doing something that they've always loved and want to continue.
What I love about volunteering here is meeting the different people that we have from all around the world. It's brilliant. The staff here are incredible. Once you're here, you're a part of a family.
The difference with Helping Hands is the support they've been able to offer our volunteers. It's sort of frequent check-ins, see how they're doing. How I came to this role was actually through volunteering, and I started just volunteering on a really part-time basis. And then when I left university, they offered me a little paid role, which was amazing. And then ever since then, over the years, I've worked my way up, and now I run the groups, which is really exciting.
It helps my mind. Every week it's really nice to know I have a structure, I have a place to go, and it's something I really enjoy doing. Probably like the best time of my week, and I think that volunteering has helped me build that confidence and all the skills that I need to get a job in the arts. I think if anyone is considering volunteering, Helping Hands is a really, really brilliant way of getting into it. It sort of takes away a lot of that pressure of maybe thinking, I don't know if I can go here. You have somebody to contact that helps you just access that world that you might not have thought you were able to, and volunteering just opens up so many amazing opportunities.
Okay, well that's just shows some of our volunteers and their stories, and it really chimes very well with what Jilly and Rachel are saying about progression in projects and what it can do, especially with young people coming back and becoming the employees of the future. So just some next slide here is around just some stats around where we are. We're at the midpoint of our project now. We're funded by Arts Council and DCMS to recruit 500 volunteers across Cumbria by March 2024. And we are aiming to diversify our volunteer base. So we're working with our community partners to break down those barriers to volunteering, some of which were mentioned in the short video there. And we're also working with our cultural organisations to overcome any barriers they may have through offering training and bespoke support from our community partners. So we are acting as that link between arts and cultural organisations and our communities as well. We have inclusive volunteering leads in each of our 5 sections of Cumbria, and they work with a cluster of cultural organisations. They can provide a bespoke one-to-one support package to people who may want to become volunteers. I'm now going to hand over to Jay, who is one of them, and he's working mainly in the east of the county.
Thanks, Janet. So the statistics on that slide are sort of give us dry facts, but as in the video, it's really the people who tell the story best. So if we could have the next slide, please. So this is a lady called Amanda. Amanda had previously been involved in art and museum sector as a volunteer, but life had got in the way, children, all the usual stuff. But she wanted to get back into it, but didn't really know how to approach it. She heard of Helping Hands, got in touch with us. So I went out and met her for a cup of tea, chatted about what she wanted to get out of volunteering, what her experience was, where she really felt she could add value. And we talked about a couple of potential opportunities, arranged some meetings to go out and meet people. And after meeting up with guys at Prism Arts and Tully, she felt comfortable, she felt it was the right sort of thing for her, and she ended up volunteering for both of them going forward. Next slide, please. This is Rich in Barrow. Rich was keen to volunteer, but he really wasn't sure what he could do. But following having that one-to-one contact with Verity down there in Barrow, he sort of said he'd love to work outdoors and get involved with the allotment soup project. That's Art Jean's growing garden down on Walney. But he felt that, you know, he was struggling physically. So that was a barrier that we felt we could remove. So using our access fund, we just went out, bought him one of those lovely sitting cum kneeling stools, and also a good sturdy pair of boots. And now Rich is able to get stuck in working down on that allotment. And then next slide, please. And this young man, this is Ben. And Ben's a neurodiverse young man, so he was really, really nervous about approaching organisations, about making applications to volunteer. But having met up with him, spoken to him directly, I took him out to Broome Castle near Penrith. We met up with the lovely site manager there, Denise, who really went out her way to make him feel welcome and that he had a real potential value as a volunteer. And she even explained that he'd set aside a quiet space. It was in a quiet room on the site. So if he felt that things were getting a bit too much, if he was volunteering, he had a safe place where he could go away, just calm himself down, take a little bit of time before coming back out and getting involved. So we're just working through now the online procedure for him to apply through English Heritage, and hopefully he'll be back in and volunteering Broome Castle very soon. So I'll pass you back to Janet now.
Great, thanks, Jay. That just gives you a little snapshot of some of the people that we're working with and how we're helping them to become volunteers. I thought we would highlight some of the types of roles we're recruiting to. We've got well over 70 now up on our website, and these are many and varied and reflect the needs of the sector. We work with a range of partners from small practitioner-led organisations all the way through to national charities like English Heritage, which we've just highlighted here. And all these organisations are at different points in their experience of recruiting, supporting and working with volunteers, and particularly volunteers from different backgrounds. So could I have the next slide, please? You're probably aware this week is Mental Health Awareness Week, so I thought we'd start off with some examples of practical volunteering. Being outdoors suits many people, and the benefits of volunteering in fresh air is well known in improving mental health and well-being. So we have a range of outdoor roles for volunteers, including gardening, maintenance, but also things like tour guides as well. The next slide, please. In contrast, working behind the scenes or remotely using IT enables us to work with a different group of people, and not just young people either. We have volunteers working with curators to digitise collections in museums, and we are currently looking for volunteers to assist one of our partners with social media to improve their online presence. Next slide, please. Events, we've lost the S on events, never mind. Events are great fun, and they bring a range of volunteer opportunities to a wide range of people, and that can be from helping to set up the venue and the stage, technical support, meeting, greeting and keeping the audience safe, which is a really important role, through to assisting with marketing and promotion. These roles are obviously of short duration, but they're a great way of being part of Cumbria's vibrant event scene. And these volunteers are often able to experience the event too. What an excellent way to start your volunteering journey. I'll now hand back to Jay, who'll tell you about some more roles that we've got at the moment.
Yeah, if we could have the next slide, please. So yeah, undoubtedly, I mean, many of you will be of the roles that we have are those front of house and visitor engagement roles you'd expect from sort of our heritage partners and our organisations that we work with, putting on events and that sort of thing. But there's lots and lots that you might not expect, but also it's about bespoking the role. So we meet one-to-one with every potential volunteer to find out what their skills are, what they want to achieve. And then we work closely with partners to find the right opportunities. And we do have this access fund to try and remove some of those barriers. So it might just be support. So we work with our community diversity partners with that, but it might be physical things. So for example, in one venue, we put in a wheelchair ramp at a fire exit, which allows a volunteer to act as a gallery engager because she can now safely use the fire exit. We've provided portable hearing loops for a couple of venues so that people who are hard of hearing or struggle a little can still volunteer in those roles. It might just be as simple as with Richard buying a good pair of boots to allow somebody to get out and get stuck in. So there's lots and lots of volunteering opportunities, and we'll try and find the right one for you. Next slide, please. And of course, we can get into some of the more unusual and exciting ones. You know, it leads people into experiences they may not have imagined, lights a spark that leads to them trying new things. So they may never thought of dressing up in costume to read poetry at Dove Cottage, or they may never have imagined they could play the musical Stones at Keswick Museum. And I was listening to the gamelan and thinking, oh, I wonder if anybody who fancies that wants to play the Stones. Or it could be paddling a canoe down Windermere as a heritage tour guide for the National Trust. You know, they're all out there and they're different. They're not what people expect. So if you go on to the last slide then. So thank you very much for watching this little presentation. Hope it's been informative. If you want to find out more, please go on the website. There's lots more information. All the roles we currently have are up there and lots of other contact details. And of course, you can follow us on social media or get in touch with us directly. Give us a call, drop us an email. We all know that benefits of volunteering can bring to individuals. You know, that's in health and well-being, community involvement, all that stuff. But it also benefits the host organisations, because if we're bringing in those diverse volunteers from broader backgrounds, from different outlooks, they bring fresh ideas and a new outlook to our organisations, which is going to make them better in the long run. Thank you.
Hey, Janet, thank you ever so much. As Lorna said there in chat, amazing. Wish I'd had something like this, like Helping Hands 20 years ago. It's really nice to see real life case studies, and obviously that film was focused on Carlisle. Really nice to see those, you know, people that are whose lives have been enriched, and actually whose audiences that they're playing to, and who they're working with or volunteering with will actually be being enriched as well. So thank you for pulling that together. Thank you for some great slides as well. Thank you, Janet and Jay, for that. and we'll keep monitoring the progress of Helping Hands, and I hope help you get your message out about opportunities as well. So thanks ever so much for that.
Great, thanks,
Just
Tom.
Couple of little parish notices before we finish. Amy, the training situation, this is about helping people become successful fundraisers. You want to just tell us what's going on there?
Yeah, we've got some training coming up next week, which most of you would have heard about. It's writing funding bids, which everyone needs to know about. So it's next Tuesday through to Thursday, 3 different locations, Reged, the Beacon, through in West Cumbria, and the Corrow in South Cumbria. And I've just been informed by Chris Bridgman, our training development producer, that there's 1 space become available at Reged, which is for next Tuesday. So Reged would have been fully booked quite quickly, but there is now 1 space available. So if you want to follow the link that I've already popped into chat, and there are still plenty of spaces available at the Beacon and a few at the Corrow as well. So just have a look at the link in chat for the details of that.
Okay, thanks, Amy. And then finally, someone got in touch with me this morning. The Lal Collective are bidding for some money, and they need votes to help make that happen. So, Amy, I don't know whether you're able just to share that link, but if you can just pop a vote in for the Lal Collective, they're based in Wigton. They came on here about 6 weeks ago, something like that, and they're after your vote. So, are we able to share that page, Amy? Not sure.
Yeah, the link's just in chat, Tom.
Yeah, okay, lovely. So if you just click on there and add to the vote if you want to, that'd be lovely too. I'm away next week, and Chris and Amy are going to look after the ship next week. We're going to find out about how an art crits group can really benefit people as part of it. And we're also going to hear from an Ambleside poet called Melissa Davies, who's just had her first collection published as well. So some other bits and bobs going on next week too. Have a great week yourselves. Lovely to see you. I know Rachel's gone, but she was great. I know Jilly's gone, but she was great. And Janet and Jay, you're still here, and you were great too. So thank you. Lovely to see you all. Have a nice weekend. Catch you again soon.